everyone, kind of familiar with aux-core amps knows the infamous rail arms. And so the rail arms, basically the old generation, they're either all the way out like in Dumbo mode, I call it aerodynamic mode, maybe putting your speed brakes out. But it's annoying, right? Because when you pop it out, it's like all the way out here. And what you do is you hit it on stuff. There's all sorts of things that happen. But there's no middle ground. And in a lot of competitor products, there is a middle ground, and it allows some ventilation to get in between your ear and the headset. And it's really important because once you have amps on for a long time, you'll see because of the pressure that's needed from the arms to maintain a really good seal around your ear, it presses down, and the hair around your ear in particular gets it starts hurting over time. It also gets pretty hot in there. So everyone really wants just to pop it out a little bit. And that's basically what these vent mode rail arms do for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the installation, and I'm going to talk about some of the features here. So when you get these, you're going to get a case like this. It's going to say amp rail mount kit vent mode. Make sure it says vent mode there, all right? When you open it up, we're going to keep this. This is also the instructions, okay? So we're definitely going to use that because experts use the manual, all right? And we'll dump all of the subcomponents out. So we have basically 2 rail arms and some hook and pile, which the ladies will call Velcro, okay? These 2 keepers, and then you have these triangular sections of pile which go on the helmet itself, right? So put this off. When you look at the rail system here, what you see is there's this side back here, right? The side back here is where it mounts at. All right, you're going to look at the rail arms, and on the rail arms themselves at the bottom, there's a little mechanical feature. So we're just going to go down step by step. So the first step here is to attach the arm to arc rail. So we're going to rotate this into the position that it shows in the manual, which is something like this, all right? And then we are going to, with the mechanical side down, which I say mechanical side, I'm just talking about this little keeper right here. All right, so we're going to slide it right on, all right? So this gets slid on, and then you want to hear the click, which is that. And now you are good to go. So there are these little holes in here. It's going to pop into one of the holes, and then it'll be stuck on there. So now I have one installed. I'm going to go to the opposite side, and I'm going to repeat. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting the keeper down towards the bottom. I'm identifying the rail. I'm sliding it up on here. Well, I hear the click. I'm going to fold it around to the front, and now I'm in the position where I can attach the actual headset to the helmet. All right, so there's a little trick at this point, and that is you have to follow the arrows. All right, so set it up, set yourself up for success. I'm looking at the headset and how it's worn on my head. All right, I'm just going to set this down so I have my left on my left side and my right on my right side. I'm going to take the left side. I'm going to look for the arrow that's in here. There it goes. Okay, focused. All right, so I have identified my left ear cup, and I'm going to attach it. There's a little arrow. We're going to make sure the arrow is up. The up arrow is going to go towards the top part of the left ear cup, and we are going to attach it. Boom, we got it on the first time. That never happens. I have to flip it every single time because it looks like it should go the other way. So that's a little bit of a Christmas miracle, should they say. All right. Now we do the same thing on this side. I'm looking for the up arrow. I'm putting it towards the top of the headset. Ear cup, boom, now we're on. So right now you can see I'm in full Dumbo mode. And now I can go in and I'm in vent mode. Then I go in one more, and that is the full pressure that you need to maintain that blast protection and that ultra heat protection on the headset, okay? So cool thing is from this portion, so in vent mode, the NFMI still works. So if you're doing some sub-T stuff or you need double ear pro for whatever reason, when you have those in the NFMI earbuds, they will still wirelessly talk to the headset if it's in vent mode. It's close enough. which is very cool. Some guys were asking about that. I've never done that personally. I've never been in like a situation where I would have to be an NFMI for such a long time, but I could see how it's definitely a plus to be able to do that, just to get some airflow, because I mean airflow is everything, right? So let's go into a little bit of admin here of cable management. So when you're looking at the back of the headset here, we want to make sure that the cables are routed correctly. So I need to reroute this cable. I'm actually just going to pop this off to do it. And I'm just going to basically have the cable that was just stuck in there, and I want to make it nice and tidy looking. So make sure the arrow is still in the right orientation. It's back on there. So now I have the headset just like this. I'm going to take the wires and I'm going to put them through the keeper. So right here, there's a keeper on this side that I'm going to put it through, and there's a keeper on this side that I'm going to put it through. All right, and now I have a little bit of extra that I pull out here, and this is about what it should look like. So inside of here, I've already attached these triangular pieces of pile, and now I just need to find where they're at. So I have one here, and I have one here. All right, I'm just going to stick them in there. I'm going to pull this cable down, and I'm going to go over the top and secure it. So now it's secure to the helmet, and you can definitely make this look sexier should you choose. But the real thing is you're just trying to get it out of the way so it doesn't snag on anything. Normally, you know, you're going to have like a battery or a counterweight or something back there. So now we're fully on there. We have a fixed vent mode set of amps on this carbon fast SF, which is just a gnarly helmet. All right, let's talk about some admin stuff with the headset. So how do I store, what's the best way to store this headset? Well, OpScore tells us that when we're storing this headset, they would like it to be stored in this position. So basically protecting the amps inside of the basket of the helmet, not out like this. You don't want to store them like that because you can break the arms. You're pushed in the wrong way when storage or something like that. So the best to just maintain your equipment is to stow them right inside, just like this. All right, you do not want to do this. So you don't want to bring it up and over and stow it like this in the back. There's a couple different reasons. One, you get this weird, you have to remember that you have a communications cable that runs between this stuff. And when you stow it out of, when you stow it up that way, you see what happens to the cable. The cable is now moved sides, basically. So it's not good for the headset. So you want to make sure that that is back in the back and still inside of this keeper. All right. And the other thing is these pads, they wear out over time. So when you put this on a helmet and you store it like pushing up against the outside here, the pad, this, let me see if I can get this on. Let me see if I can get this on the microphone if you can hear it. That kind of, for it gaining some volume, it goes away if you keep it pressed up against something for forever. So if it's stowed on there for 150 hours and you're only wearing it for 2, it's getting compressed for no reason. So you might as well just leave it in your helmet just like this. One more thing. Let's talk about some of the adjustments on the rail arms. One thing is a lot of guys don't realize that they move. So this rail arm is actually, you can hear that, it gets longer. So there's a gentleman that posted that he can never get it to get a good seal on his helmet, and we put a good seal on a volleyball. So we're not sure how big this guy's head is, but it might be massive. If it's outside of that, he might just be SOL, but that's a pretty large situation to be in. I keep mine somewhere in the middle. That it's important that when you size it up, that the cup is completely around your ear, and that the headset, when worn, the microphones right here are oriented directly forward, and the bottom part is kind of what we would like to say parallel with the marching surface. So we want this to be right here. And this, the reason why is because how the amps work. There's a little bit of mechanical ingenuity inside of the design here, and you can actually take this little piece of foam out of here and see a little bit of the magic, but basically it's shaped kind of like an ear canal. And it is directly related to how the FD3D works. It's FD3D, 3D hearing, whatever they call it. It goes into how the 3D hearing works. So amps are guys that are ride or die amp wearers, and a lot of them are the most experienced communicators because they've had headsets on. And a lot of guys say a lot of different things, but when you wear a lot of different headsets and you're communicating a lot, you definitely can tell the difference between all of them. The amp, in my opinion, has always been the best, but it's really easy to tell which direction stuff's coming from in the amp. Like if you get a clap, like you get this behind you in the amp, you can tell it's behind you. And some of the other headsets, it's not as intuitive. And a lot of it has to do with the way the amp presents sound to your ear is gathering it from the environment in the same way that your ear would gather that information from the environment. So anyways, this is it. Hold this up. Rail mount kit vent mode. It's available on our website, and we're super stoked about it. It works really good. I was cruising around on an e-bike. It's nice to have some airflow going here, and it's very cool that the distance there, the NFMI, still works after. So just another little TTP that we can add here is doing PCCs and PCIs, like getting ready, basically pre-combat checks, pre-combat inspections is what we call it. It's basically just getting like your stuff together and getting your equipment operating correctly for you to go out and do whatever your job is. A lot of guys, they just go in a headset and they'll just like crank it up all the way, crank it up to 11, and it's just like loud as shit. And that's really not how it's designed to work. It needs to mimic the ambient environment around you. It shouldn't sound any different in the headset than it does while you're like walking or while you're moving. So what I like to do is almost like when we're conducting SEALs, which is like stop, look, listen, and smell. We want to kind of tune ourselves with the local environment. So what I'll do is I'll turn them on. I'll have one ear cup on my ear, the other ear cup I'll pop out, and then I will equalize the sound between each. So that way when I lift it, it sounds exactly the same as when I close it. And that's what I would call your standard kind of patrol mode. If I needed superhuman hearing, like if I was on an observation post and I was going to be static and I did want it to be kind of loud, that's when you can crank it up. But when you're moving again, it's important for you to readjust the sound level because when moving, it's a lot like when a dad goes into a parking lot at the mall and he has loud music on. He's got to turn it down so he can concentrate. It's a lot like that. You get kind of overloaded with all of the sound. It doesn't just quite fit. So you want to make sure those levels are equalized. And that's it. That's all I got on this. Just about, little TTP, but we're super stoked for the rail mount kits. They're in 3 colors. They're tan, black, and Ranger green, and you can get them on our website. Thanks.